What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today we're going to do like just a quick and dirty video. I really wanted to check out almost frame by frame the Sega Power Surge reveal trailer that was shown off at the Game Awards last night. So if you would like to see kind of that whole thing, we did a watch along party over on the DCP YouTube channel. You can watch all, I think it was 3 hours plus of that. We actually had a great time watching all those trailers, watching the awards. But this video, I just want to look at this one trailer. So if you haven't seen the trailer, it is a reveal of 5 games that Sega currently is developing. And all 5 of these games, man, speak to many of us, I think, in a very personal way, because they're reboots or reimagining of older titles that Sega has in their back catalog. And those games are, in no particular order, Shinobi, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Crazy Taxi, and Jet Set Radio. Like, all of these games beloved by many fans around the world. And to show all of these in just like little clips, but to tease us and to just let us know that these are in development was really exciting to a lot of us. Now, some of these games have gotten kind of modern interpretations. Not Golden Axe, Streets of Rage 4 just came out a few years ago. Widely, I think, liked by most people. I really loved the game, in fact. Some people didn't dig it as much, but you know, it was a cool concept, right? It was a reimagining of the Streets of Rage formula. And they're going to do that again. So let's get into this trailer. And what I want to do is just kind of, I'm going to slow it down, actually. We're going to go into the settings, adjust the playback speed to about 25%, and mute it so you don't have to hear that awful noise. And we're just going to watch this. So they start off by showing Jet Set Radio. And right off the bat, you can see how gorgeous this game looks. Like it's pretty far along in development. In fact, they have, I believe, shown this game before, and it looks fantastic. It does look different than the old Dreamcast and Xbox versions of the game. It looks a little brighter. The color palette is more, I would say, natural, but also more cartoonish. It doesn't have that kind of greenish hue over the whole thing. And I think this new trailer looks fantastic. It's very well animated. You know, we see like the characters from the original game. I think this guy's name is Beat. You can see him kind of, you know, the same gameplay seems to be preserved in this game. Who is this? Professor K? Is that right? Is that his name? But it looks fantastic. And then we move over to Streets of Rage, right? Streets of Rage looks earlier in development. Before we move on to that, I just want to talk a little bit more about Jet Set Radio. So I do wonder if this will be called Jet Set Radio, Jet Grind Radio. What did they use? Maybe you can answer me in the comments. What did they use for the Xbox version? Did they change the name to Jet Set Radio, or did they keep Jet Grind for the US release? But what I like about this is it very much keeps kind of the style and the feel of the original Dreamcast game, but you know, clearly has updated graphics. I wish there was a 4K version of this trailer. The 1080p version looks very compressed, and it's a little hard to tell what's going on. But man, I am really digging the look of this game, and if they keep the gameplay intact, and you know, frankly, the gameplay of Jet Set Radio could definitely be improved, I think, in the 20 plus years since it came out. But if they keep that feel, that skate kind of feel of grinding and going through the town and kind of shoving people out of your way and getting chased by the police and tagging everything, it was just such a fun gameplay loop in such a cool environment with great music. It just, this kind of, some things are just cool. And you just know it when you're looking at it. And Jet Grind Radio was definitely one of those games. So it's really exciting. It looks like they have acknowledged what made that game look so cool. And it looks like that's going to transfer over to the modern era, because I'm really digging this. And it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun again. And I'm glad to see Professor K back. Now, this game, I feel like, is a little different. Streets of Rage just got a kind of modern game. Streets of Rage 4 came out on modern platforms just a few years ago. It's probably longer than that now, but generally well received. I quite liked it. I know the reception wasn't 100% positive, but you know, I thought they made a lot of gameplay adjustments to Streets of Rage 4 that really updated kind of your move set, made it a little less. Brawlers can be a little bit simple and they can be a little bit repetitive because of that. You generally kind of find the one or two moves that work really well and you spam and repeat them all the way to the end boss, beat the game. But with Streets of Rage 4, I thought they added some depth that worked and was really fun. Now, with this, Streets of Rage 4 was a 3D game, but with kind of like a 2D layer over it that made it appear to be a 2D game. This game is, clearly just here's some 3D graphics for you. It looks very early in development. The only thing they're showing off is this one little section of this one level. So I'd imagine this is a very early look at this game, and I'd be surprised if it looked exactly like this when it comes out, which is okay by me because this looks pretty raw. But I'm still excited that Sega has somebody working on another modern interpretation of Streets of Rage, because it's just a fun like 90s vibe that Streets of Rage puts out. And I think as long as they can stick to that, as long as they can, I think a trap that a lot of remakes fall into is that we're going to take this thing that was awesome, in a certain situation. Streets of Rage, for example, just really incorporated that like late 80s, early 90s kind of action movie brawler vibe to it, right? And when you take those characters, you take that, property, and you try and interpret it into like, well, let's make this set in 2023. A lot of the attitudes of the characters don't make sense. A lot of the, the looks don't make sense. Like, it's harder to do kind of like a bunch of neon if everything is now LED, right? The two are similar, but they look different. It's hard to do like, cut off t-shirts and jeans when, that's not the style anymore, and the characters look weird. It's a fun thing that I think that Street Fighter has done with Street Fighter 6 is they've brought these characters into the modern era. And like one of the jokes they play with Ryu is like, the guy is so old, he's so stuck in the past, he can't operate a phone correctly, right? He can't operate a modern phone. I think that's fun. You can move the characters along, but they're still rooted in the past that you remember. So I don't know what they're going to do with this version of Streets of Rage. Again, it looks so early, it's hard to take much from it. It definitely looks like it's going to be more of a 3D arena, but still have that brawler look. And his moveset definitely looks expanded over the original games, but still, still keeping kind of the tone of, was it Alex or Axel from Streets of Rage? I can't remember his name, to be honest with you. But it's still like, it looks like it's still him, right? And he still looks young, so I think he was a little older in Streets of Rage 4 with the beard and all, which worked. It worked. Again, another example, kind of like Ryu. This one is crazy. This is Shinobi, and like right off the bat, you can see this is obviously a beautiful game. I'm excited for this, like unequivocally, I'm excited about this. You're gonna bring out like a modern side-scrolling, like kind of action platformery. Maybe this will even have Metroidvania vibes. I don't really know. It's a little hard to tell from just this small bit of trailer. Kind of regardless, this looks just absolutely sick. Like the animation style of it is really beautiful. Like it's just beautifully drawn. I will say, reminds me more of Ninja Gaiden than Shinobi. Shinobi to me always was kind of personified by bigger, slower moving, a little bit more plotting of a character, a little bit more deliberate movement than something like Ninja Gaiden, where you're just trying to rush around and like always pushing forward in a Ninja Gaiden game, right? It's just running forward, slashing, jumping. And that's what this game looks a little bit like to me. I feel like you could almost throw any name on this Shinobi trailer and it's going to look cool. But Shinobi definitely gets some more eyeballs on it, right? Putting that Shinobi name on it definitely throws some more. This just looks insane, though. It looks great. Putting that Shinobi name definitely puts some more eyeballs on it. It doesn't particularly, like, the animation doesn't really remind me of Shinobi from the past, like the Sega Genesis or even the arcade era. But I kind of don't care. This game looks sick. So, whatever. Free pass for Shinobi because you made a sick-looking trailer. But yeah, like this reminds me of the first boss from, was it Revenge of the Shinobi or was it Shinobi 3? I can't actually remember this boss where he's got the sword kind of protecting him. I don't know. Like, I'm really excited about this trailer, though. Like, I'm definitely playing this game, but this could have had any name attached to it, and I see this animation, I see this art style, I see this gameplay, and I'm all in. But he does kind of have that like spray of the shurikens. Very cool. So next is Golden Axe, and we don't get to see much of this, so I would assume it's probably pretty early as well. So we have seen Golden Axe done 3D before, and it wasn't very, I'd say it wasn't executed super well, and it didn't really capture kind of the feel that players who had played the original games really were looking for, and it obviously it didn't capture new players either. But you know, look, I don't know how this game is going to turn out. I don't even know what kind of game it is. You do see 3 characters on the screen, so hopefully it'll be 3-player co-op. Whether it is just kind of a standard brawler or if it's something a little deeper, I think that you could go a little deeper with something like Golden Axe and get some weird stuff going. But yeah, it does look like it's going to be just kind of like a standard brawler from what they're showing here. Although, you know, that camera swinging around, who knows? Who knows? I'm sure it's very early. This game doesn't look quite ready to play, obviously, but I'm ready for something. I'm glad that they are taking these franchises, taking their shot with them. You know, I don't know how many of these games are internally developed by Sega, or how many like people have come to Sega and say, we got this great idea for Golden Axe. We'd really like to, you know, like do a Golden Axe game or this Shinobi game. But I also kind of don't care, because some of these franchises are just like really, you know, special, and we remember them from our childhoods. We remember how good they were. And I'm glad they're not just dead. You know, I'm glad we don't have like sort of a Konami situation with Sega where they have these, you know, franchises that were insanely popular and people would love to see kind of modern reinterpretations of, that just lie dormant. You know, Konami every once in a while throws a bunch of them on a disc and releases a collection of the old games. But, you know, how much, one of the things I'd always think is like, oh man, I'd love to see like a modern interpretation of Castlevania done in kind of like a Dark Souls way. I feel like that's like a mixture that could really do well. I'd love to see like a new Gradius game. There's all sorts of Konami franchises that I'd love to see like modern interpretations of. And like, yeah, sometimes they're going to be disappointing, but that's okay. At least, you know, they're still active. We're still taking shots with them, right? And this is what Golden Axe and actually Streets of Rage in this trailer kind of remind me of. Like, both of these games look so early, it's hard to tell like if this modern interpretation of either of these games is going to be any good. But I'm glad somebody's taking a shot. I'm glad the franchises aren't dead. And even if these specific versions are a little bit disappointing, I almost can guarantee that 3 out of the 5 of these are going to be awesome, right? Like, because you can just tell just by looking at these trailers. All right, let's continue looking at this. You know what's interesting about this too is that you can see this kind of like circle go around the guy on the right, and he's like highlighted in red, and the guy in the yellow is highlighted, in yellow, and then what's the name of the dwarf in this game? I always forget. But his axe is in yellow. So I wonder if there's going to be some kind of mechanic where, you know, you've got to attack the appropriate colors, or you get more power if you attack the appropriate colors. Or maybe that's like a warning, like, oh, you need to parry or dodge this guy's attack. What's he do? It doesn't really show. Some kind of, who knows. This one was pretty exciting as well. So this is the new Crazy Taxi game. Crazy Taxi, it's one of those things, like, it's hard when you think about the arcade version and the Dreamcast version, it's hard to imagine this game coming back in the form that it was. Like that arcade specific gameplay where, you know, it's time based and you're really just, it's meant to be, you know, a arcade game where you're paying for more play with quarters. But this game looks like they're really going to expand on the ideas of Crazy Taxi. You're going to be able to play as a cop. It looks like there might be some multiplayer in here. The driving looks like it's going to be ridiculous and over the top, which honestly I think is missing in modern driving games. There's plenty of great realistic driving games, but the arcade racer, like the kind of fun stuff, like used to exist even in like the Xbox era and the PlayStation 2 era, just like the Burnout games, for instance, just seems to be missing right now. And I think with this and the latest Rocket Racing that was also announced, I think like there is room for like it's just a more silly and more fun type of racer. That looks fun. I mean, honestly, like racing around the streets, either getting chased by the police, Most Wanted style, or trying to chase the rogue taxis in a police car. This looks fun. Honestly, this is a 1080p video with awful compression, but it looks great. Like the gameplay looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of power sliding, a lot of speed boosting, a lot of carnage. You can see that truck on its side. I'm into a new Crazy Taxi. I can't believe I'm saying that in 2023, but I'm into it. When's the last time there was a Crazy Taxi game? It was probably the Xbox and PlayStation 2 era. Maybe there was a new one for like the PlayStation 3 era. I can't remember seeing one in a long time. All right, so moving on, we get back to Jet Set Radio. I hate when why do they got to rename games for different regions? Just stick with one name. It's so confusing. Oh, okay. So this now is getting to, I think, more of the live action stuff, but there is some more gameplay toward the end of the trailer. So we're going to just move on to that. There you go. Getting in. You got the green haired guy. Here's some more Shinobi. God, Shinobi. Look, I don't know that looks like a Shinobi game. Man, it looks nice though. All right, come on. Dude, he's even got like kind of that spin jump. That looks more Ninja Gaiden, doesn't it? I'm not complaining. Look, I love both franchises, so you can call it Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi all you want. I'm still playing it. I think that Streets of Rage looks kind of the earliest out of all of these. Again, this is the same level that they were just showing. You can kind of see those neon speakers on the left-hand side of the screen. So it's hard for me to kind of get excited about Streets of Rage as of yet, just because they're showing so little of it and it's so early. But I'm happy that somebody's working on it. This Golden Axe though looks interesting. I don't know. Golden Axe could go either way for me. Like if you look at that, like, yeah, that could be kind of a standard brawler where you get to move around a little bit more, but they did show the dwarf guy with like a 3D camera where you could rotate the camera around him. So are they gonna like, is this some kind of like mix between like a brawler and like a Dark Souls? Is there gonna be exploration? Is it gonna be fairly linear? That model of Axe Battler, I mean, that looks cool. I'm okay with it. I don't know. This just is, it's fun. It's fun to think about all the stuff that's coming. Like, in announcing 5 games like this all at once, it was crazy. It was a good time. I'm glad to see Sega taking advantage of their older IPs. Honestly, I hope all of these games are super successful because I'd like to see them, kind of keep going. What about a Chakin the Forever Man? Chakin? I don't know how to say that. They got so many properties. Oh, this part too. We gotta play this part right here. Let's go back to regular speed and unmute with the eyeball. It's so classic, like kind of 90s Sega. Here we go. His face, man. You gotta love it. You gotta be a fan of this guy. All right, I just wanted to talk about it. I just wanted to look through these things frame by frame and really like see what's going on here. All of these games look. The one I'm like most concerned about is Streets of Rage, but also it looks like it's the earliest, so it was like kind of least to be concerned about it. Shinobi, again, it looks to me like, this could be any ninja game. They're calling it Shinobi. Okay, they'll call the main character Joe Musashi, and we'll go on an adventure with him. To hell with it. I don't care if it plays like a Ninja Gaiden game or if it plays like whatever. Like it looks like it plays great. It certainly looks amazing. That one scene with kind of like that demon running in the background, unreal. And he's riding his dog. Is it the dog from Shadow Dancer? I wonder. Was the dog's name Shadow Dancer? I don't remember. It's been a while. Golden Axe looks the most kind of like, what are they doing here? Because like it looks interesting, and I'm up for it. Like, again, even if they disappoint, at least they're playing with these properties. Like, they got new ideas for these properties. Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio both look like they're gonna be great. Like, it's hard to argue with what you're seeing on screen and say, oh, I don't know about this. They both look good, and like I said before, Crazy Taxi I think was an idea built for the arcades, and it worked awesome in the arcades. It was awesome to get a great home conversion back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. But it wasn't like necessarily like a gameplay loop that I think translated well to buying a home product of. So I think it's a idea, like it's a world, and it's like a fun. It'd be fun to get a new like arcadey driving game in that like crazy style of Crazy Taxi. I think that still works, but they got to revamp like the gameplay loop where it's not just like picking up a passenger, dropping them off over and over again. There's got to be a little bit more to it, and like you can see, they're adding police chases to it, and hopefully multiplayer. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Crazy Taxi. Jet Set Radio, just another Jet Set Radio, I think is great. Hopefully they're revamping the controls a little bit, make them a little more modern feeling. That'd be fine. And the visuals look, they look Jet Set Radio, but they kind of lose that like green filter, and there's more of like a bluish filter put on top of it. Makes it feel a little bit more modern. I don't know. I'm excited for that. All 5 of these games. Sega, heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, I'm here for you. I'm here for it. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.